Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope that you're all well and having a really good day so far. Today's video is a 5 looks 1 palette using the Natasha Denona Metropolis. I've been really keen to rediscover some of the older eyeshadow palettes in my collection, and I did start a using my eyeshadow palettes project pan, and from that video a few of you requested that I film this 5 looks video. Hopefully this might inspire you to pull out your own Metropolis palette or help you if you are considering buying it. I think some of the looks you can create with this are perfect for this time of year, but obviously you can use it all year round. So if you'd like to see how I put this look together along with 4 others, grab yourself a drink, subscribe if you haven't already, and keep on watching. And this is the first look that I've put together. I have done one of my eyes already just because I wanted to know the direction that I was going in for this look. I'm starting with the shade Pure on a fluffy brush from Morphe, and I'm just blending that through the crease. This is what we're going to be using as the transition colour. And then taking a clean fluffy brush, I'm just using that to soften the edge. So this shade is one of her cream to powder formulas, and as you can see they blend out really nice. I'm now taking the shade Antique and I'm applying that to the outer corner of the eye. I'm also going to pull it across to emphasise the crease more. And I'm applying that using a pencil brush from Morphe. This is the M431. And then back in with the first brush just to soften that line into the transition shade. With the excess that's on my pencil brush, I'm just going to take that down onto the lower lash line and pull it 2/3 of the way across. I'm now applying the shade Jubilee and I'm just pressing that onto the lid with my finger. This is just going to get the bulk of the colour down first, and then I'm going back in with a Morphe M124 just to neaten up the edge. This is one of my favourite brushes for applying shimmery shades. And back into Antique just to deepen up that outer corner. And to give this look a nice pop of colour, I'm going into the shade Imperia, which is a beautiful yellow gold, and I'm applying that using the Fender blender brush from Huda Beauty. Just taking that right into the inner corner and then blending that into the lash line shade. And I'm also going to take that up slightly and blend into the transition colour. And I'm just going to quickly jump off camera, apply liner, mascara and lashes, and then I'll be back to talk about the finished look. I'm back and I've just thrown on some MAC Half and Half lipstick just to finish off the look, but I'm really enjoying this eye look. I love the contrast between the yellow gold in the inner corner and that beautiful green shimmer on the lid. And this is the look that I've put together for look number 2. I'm starting by taking the shade Trism onto this Morphe M433 brush, and I'm just blending that through the crease. And taking a clean Morphe M441 just to blend out the edge. I'm then applying the shade Helena to the lid, just using my finger to start with. And then neatening up the edge with a Morphe M124. I'm now deepening up the outer corner with the shade Ripe. This is a really beautiful burnt orange shade, and I'm applying that with a pencil brush. This one's the Morphe M431. So just placing that shade right into the outer corner, and I'll blend it out in a moment with the original fluffy brush we used. Back in now just to give that a really good blend. Just build the colour up, blend out, add a bit more, blend it out, just until you've got the level of depth that you want. I'm going to take that same Ripe shade onto the lower lash line, and I'm going 2/3 of the way across, and back in with the fluffy brush. I've just put a tiny bit of Trism, the first shade we used, on here just to soften up the edge of that lower lash line and blend out the Ripe shade a bit more. Lastly, I'm dipping into the shade Queen and I'm applying that to the inner corner, both on the top and lower lash line, and I'm blending this across onto the lid about 1/3 of the way, just to lighten up the inner part of the eye and give a bit more shimmer. That's the eyeshadow now finished. I'm just going to jump off camera, apply liner, mascara and lashes, and then you can see the completed look. And this is the finished look for look number 2, and I must admit I like these orangey tones much more than I thought I would. I think this is a really beautiful eye look for the autumn months, and I'm sure that I'm going to be reaching for this in my 10 uses project. And for look number 3, I've decided to go with this soft green halo eye. I'm going to start with the shade Lethal, which is this sort of pea green colour, and I'm just taking that into the crease and also the inner corner. The brush that I'm using is a Morphe M433, and I'm not taking too much product on my brush. I'm just taking small amounts and then building it up gradually, just so it gives me control over the placement of the shade. Going in with a clean Morphe M441, just to blend out the edge and keeping it nice and soft. But these cream to powder shades I'm very impressed with. They blend really easily, and I like the fact, especially with the dark shades, that you don't get any fallout with them. I'm then taking the shade Troop on a Morphe M431 pencil brush. This has just got a nice pointed tip, so it really helps you get a precise application for where you want the darker colour to go. And I'm also applying that to the inner corner as well. Back in with the first brush just to give that a nice blend out. I'm also taking that darker shade onto the lower lash line as well. I want to place the colour on the inner third and outer third of the eye, but I'm leaving a space in the centre, and that's just going to balance up the halo that we're going to create on this part of the eye. And back in with the shade Lethal. Just a tiny bit of Lethal on this brush, just to soften out and smoke out the lower lash line. I'm now applying the shade Shield, and I'm just sort of going over that darker shade we put down. This is a really nice shimmer, and I'm applying that to the outer corner and inner corner of the eye, bringing it up onto the lid, but still being careful to keep that gap in the middle. And I'm now applying the shade Aureum to the centre of the lid, and this has got a really pretty reflect to it. So I'm applying it right down the centre of the lid, patting that in, and that's such a beautiful shimmer. And this is just tying the look all together. And just to finish off and balance up the eye, I'm applying that same shade to the centre of the lower lash line. And that, guys, is the finished eyeshadow. I'm just going to jump off camera, apply liner, mascara and lashes, and I'll be right back. And this is the finished look for look number 3, and I do really enjoy a green eye look. For look number 4, I've started by applying the shade Pure into the crease as a transition colour, and now I'm using a clean fluffy brush just to blend out that edge. And that's just given a nice soft wash of colour on the eye. I'm now dipping into the shade Antique, and I'm applying that into the outer corner. I'm back in with my fluffy brush just to blend that through. And these are really beautiful warm brown shades. They've got a really nice red undertone to them. I'm now taking the shade Mace and applying that halfway across the lid. Actually, maybe 2/3 of the way across the lid. I'm now applying the shade Queen into the inner corner, and that's just going to brighten up the look. And I wanted the top of the eyes to be quite neutral because I'm going to do a pop of blue on the lower lash line. So taking the shade Aqueous, I think that's how you pronounce it, I'm just applying that using this pencil brush. And because this is a shimmery shade, I'm trying to apply it quite delicately to reduce any fallout. I might just do a little flick into the top shade there. And that's the eyeshadow now applied. I'm going to jump off camera to apply liner, mascara and lashes. And this is the finished eye look for look number 5. I will zoom you in so you can take a closer look. But really nice pop of colour from that blue shadow on the bottom lash line and very wearable. And this is the look that I've put together for look number 5. I'm starting with the shade Ripe and I'm just taking that through the crease using a fluffy brush. Just blending that in to lay down the orange shade. And to help blend that out, I'm taking the shade Rhythm onto a fluffy brush. This is like a soft yellow ochre, and that's really just going to work into that orange and give it a much softer look. I'm then dipping back into the Ripe shade and I'm working that into the outer corner, but at much more intensity to give it a bit more depth. So building that up. It's just a really nice sort of burnt orange. And then back in with the blending brush just to work that into the other shadows. For the inner corner I'm using the shade Crest and I've just taken that onto a Morphe M124 and I'm just working that up into the other shadows and blending it into the lid. I'm also going to run that shade along the first third of the lower lash line. And for this beautiful pop of red on the lid, I'm taking the shade Claret and I'm just applying that firstly with my finger all across the lid, and then I'll go back in and neaten it up with a brush. But that's just going to give a really nice application of colour. You can see how reflective that shade is in the camera. So going back in with my Morphe M124 and I'm just tidying up that edge. I'm also going to run that shade onto the lower lash line as well. And just to tie in the outer corner, I'm going to dip back into the shade Ripe, which is that matte orange we used earlier on, to pull everything together. And to finish, I'm just taking a clean fluffy brush and running that along the lash line. And that is the eyeshadow now finished for look number 5. And this is the finished look for look number 5. I will zoom you in so you can take a closer look. But as you can see, that red shadow is a real statement on the eye. It really brings out the brown and green in my eyes. I think all of the shadows perform beautifully and blended really well together. So guys, those are my 5 looks using the Natasha Denona Metropolis palette. I think for me, my favourite was look number 3 because I really enjoyed using these green shades here. You can let me know which was your favourite look in the comments below. But that's everything for today's video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please let me know by giving the video a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more videos from me, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell because I'd love to have you back. Thank you so much for watching guys, and I'll see you on my next one. Enjoy the rest of your day.